Trent, real big challenge to take on the Broncos twice in 6 weeks. What do you hope to get out of tomorrow night?
Yeah, we're a better team than we were round one. We've had sort of more time together, and we're looking forward to it. We know we have belief in what we've been doing. We need to nail some finishes, but yeah, looking forward to tomorrow night.
Some huge news today. Joey Manu is requesting a release potentially from French Rugby. Firstly, were you aware of that? And secondly, does that spark a bit of interest to maybe get him back to the Roosters?
No, I didn't know about it. When I heard about it, I was interested in why and how Joey is and what was the reason for it, but nothing from a rugby league perspective from our terms at the moment.
If he was to become available, is there an interest to get him back in the tri-colours?
Look, I had no idea about it at all, so that's the sort of the first thing. But you know, this is his home. It always has been. But I'm sure he's got a plan. If he's asked for a release, then he'd have a plan on what he wants to do. And you know, that's not going to be us at the moment there.
Do you think he could go straight back into league by June 30 if he was to come back?
Oh, look, there's speculation there. You know, you'd have to ask Joey that. I'm not going to throw out. I can talk for the Roosters and I can talk for him personally about how we feel about him, but no idea about next step.
What about, if I could ask, you don't want to see him at another rugby league club. If he comes back to the NRL, you'd like to see him play for the Roosters?
Naturally you would, but that's not our choice. You know, Joey gets to make his choice. He doesn't owe us anything. We've spent a lot of time together. There's both obviously a professional relationship with the Roosters and also a care for his family, but that's his choice. You know, no one's tied to anything. So yeah, Joey, I'd be interested if it's true. I don't know if it's true. You know, I've heard it reported, but until Joey tells me, then I won't. You know, I'd be interested in why he doesn't want to go to France. Why wouldn't you want to go to France?
That's where you met your wife.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so.
Hey, Chad, having to drop Chad, that must have been a difficult decision to make, but you also give a young half who's got a huge fan base in the eastern suburbs, he gets to start tomorrow.
Yeah, it's a really hard one because you've got two parts to it. You've got and we talked about it as a team, you've got tough news on a guy that's tried so hard, he's fit in really, really well, he's really popular with the group, and he's working really hard in our Roosters jersey, and then you have to tell him that he's not playing this week. And then you get to give a guy that's been working really hard his first start as a half in Roosters colours. So yeah, that's the life of a footy week. So it's really sad on the behalf of Chad, and then really excited for Hugo.
Are you 1 to 17 tomorrow?
Yep.
You've had your captain's run, and it'll be 1 to 17.
Yeah.
Can I ask you, obviously, Clint Zammit leaves the Roosters, and there's been a lot of speculation and chat around where the Roosters are in recruitment. As a coach, is that frustrating, firstly, with all the outside noise? And can you share a bit of light on the plan? Obviously, some of the injuries you didn't envisage, some of the, I suppose, Jared leaving, you probably he was given the right to because of what he'd done for the club. But how difficult has it been at the start of this season with all the chatter and with practically a new side this year?
It hasn't been difficult because of the plan that you know, if you take 5 minutes and have a look, you can pretty clearly see our plan. So I don't think it's that difficult to sort of look at it and understand where we're going with this team. I think we've got 12 or 13 that have come through our system that are playing tomorrow night, and we've got to get games into them, and we will. So that plan's really clear. We know where we're going as a club. You hold your cool and you keep going forward. Is
that the thing? I mean, you've got that, I suppose, that nursery coming through, and you know the Robert Toyers and those kind of guys are long-term superstars. Is that sort of it's risk and reward? You have to give these guys games, which is going to mean potentially it's going to be games that you drop when you're building. Yeah, you've got to spend the time, you know, and the only way to do that is play them. And we've got quite a few guys that are getting started, and we're just going to play them. And we're going to play them because we believe in them, and we're going to keep going, and month on month we'll get better as a team, and that's our belief in what we're doing. So hold your cool, coach the hell out of them, and keep going forward. Where do you see the real dangers tomorrow night for Brisbane? They've had a good start. They've only dropped one game in 6 weeks. So where do you see their real threats tomorrow? Yeah, obviously they've got some experience in the halves, so we understand the role of that, and obviously their finisher sets. You know, we needed to improve on that from round one. And then they've got some energy guys that they get from, and we need to attack them in the pack. We need to be really clear, and our game plan is really clear for tomorrow night.
Good on you.
Momentum seems to be building around NRL Europe. With your history in the Super League, where do you fall on whether they should get involved?
Yeah, they should get involved as long as the plan's really clear, and yeah, there's some work being done by some good people. You know, Super League is a really good product, but the unification of the rugby league across the world will only improve it. So we want to keep that going, and I think the investment from the NRL in Super League at some point needs to honour the north of England and the way that they manage their game in rugby league up there. But then it's time.
Not news, I guess, but a lot of the English clubs reportedly don't want the French teams included. I'm guessing you'd be a pretty big supporter of French footy.
Yeah, that's you know, that's obviously sort of the narrow view of some, that they don't want that. But you know, rugby league, the expansion is key, not regression and holding on to what was. It's about where the future of the game is, and a part of that is growing the game. You know, they've been resistant, some teams, some have been really supportive, but some have been really resistant to Catalans for a long period of time. But that's not the way it works. You know, the expansion of rugby league is the growth. That's where more money comes from. The more time you spend on new countries, then the more money that'll eventually come into the game. Cricket's a great example of that. And so, yeah, they just needed to widen their view a little bit.
Trent, can I ask you just quickly, and I know you're not one to bitch about the NRL, but in 7 weeks you're copying the Panthers twice and the Broncos twice. Now, I understand that as the luck goes with the draw, you do get 2 teams, but in such a short time frame, it doesn't seem fair.
Yeah, I don't know about fair. It is what it is. You're going to play teams multiple times. But even from a fan point of view, you think why? You know, you want to see a turning over of teams that you're playing, and to play Broncos and then Penrith, and then 4 weeks later play Broncos and Penrith again. That's yeah, it does seem strange programming, and but that's the draw, and we'll get on with it.